Hello, folks. Welcome back. It is Saturday, and yesterday I promised I would go through this trial again. It is Georgia versus Faust, cold case from 2001, where Mr. Faust is accused of rape, murder, breaking and entering, arson, robbery. There are so many charges. It's And don't get me wrong here. The victim deserves justice. This trial, in my personal opinion, is not justice. The state has put on this weird case that boils down to the boyfriend's liquid DNA in the victim's graped rectum is no, that's consensual. But the defendant's liquid DNA in her non-graped vagina. No. He must be guilty. He must be. He's black. The boyfriend is white. Gotta be the black guy. And you guys, if you have followed me through the years, I don't bring that up. Not even in the YSL trial, I brought the race aspect into this. But in this trial, I don't know what else to bring in there. And I mean, Thursdays, the day 4 of the trial, where they went through, but the boyfriend has an alibi, he was somewhere else. All right, says who? Well, his best friend and his parents. Oh, really? Do you have video of him at these places? No. Okay. What do you do you have other? Yeah, as it turns out, that parents, best friend, and some other dude can't agree on where he was at what time. To some point, it's contradictive. That one person says, well, he was there at that time. Another person said, no, he was there at that time. They claim, he was at work between 7:45 a.m. and 9 a.m. Okay. Hand over the employment record. We don't have any. So you took the word, apparently. Yeah, but at the same time as he was there between 7:45 and 9 a.m. Okay. Yeah, but he was also over there at 8:15 a.m. And he was simultaneously at a work site and a restaurant. Simultaneously. And all of a sudden, okay, so everybody's contradicting each other. So what did you guys do to prove it? Absolutely nothing. Somebody claims they saw him at a video on ATM. Okay, where's the video from the ATM? We don't have it. Folks, then you have nothing. Then you have a person with, at best, a sketchy alibi. With liquid DNA in the victim's graped rectum. Who 2 days after, let me see if I can bring it up here. Dun, dun, dun. see if I can bring it up here. Yeah. These are the boyfriend's hands 2 days after the murder. He has no explanation. Those are hands that has punched something. Those are hands with scratches that somebody tried to defend themselves. That is how hands look after a violent murder. But they believed him on his word. They believed him on his word. No, I have an alibi. Check my best friend and my parents. No actual evidence he were at those places. Nothing. While the defendant, his liquid DNA was inside the victim. His with liquid DNA. 3 to 5 days. In my opinion, interpreting what her friends have said about the victim is that she broke up with the boyfriend around New Year's. Now, it's not unheard of that boyfriends, after a breakup, find out that your ex suddenly sleeps with somebody else and goes violent. It's not unheard of. It's actually almost common. But no. And this is 25 years ago. January 19th, 2001. The defendant, he doesn't have phone records to prove where he was. He doesn't have video of where he was. People he knew back then might be dead, gone, or otherwise unavailable. How is he supposed to defend himself 25 years later? Because the state doesn't have phone records. They don't care. The state doesn't have video. They have neighbors saying, some black guy walked through the neighborhood that day. That, the prosecution, yes, it must be that guy. It must be him. Describe the black guy. And it's a generic as fuck description. That would fit. It would be almost jokingly, as we hear some comedians have said over the years, stopped while black, walking while black. That is suspicion enough to be pulled over. You look like a person we're looking for. Oh, really? Yeah. And then the description is clothes doesn't matter, nothing except black. And here it seems we have the same thing. So we are now at day 5. Day 5 was a shorter day, so we will be able to get through that. Because today it is Shit Science Day, where we are going to hear about blood spatter, among other things, hair analysis, and I couldn't help myself. I made a song. Want to hear it? But you don't have a choice.
Step right up to the miracle station. We've got justice in a jar on sale. Wave a lab coat, sprinkle Latin, sign your name, then set that scale. Look, a scratch on a screwdriver. Look, a pattern on a shell. Call it tool mark analysis, baby. That's how they send you to a cell. It's a shit science and you know it, but they sell it with a wink and a grin. Draw a line, call it math. Write a number on a latch, then they swear that the truth's locked in. Shit science. Showbiz in a lab coat. Give the jury one more magic trick to quote. They clap, they sigh while a life goes by. On a shit science song and dance they buy. Open wide, says the expert smiling. Let me measure every jagged tooth. Bite mark analysis on a bruise in a photo. They announce they've discovered the truth. Here's a cheat, here's a mole, here's a slideshow. Turn the guests into gospel on a screen. They don't mention all the bodies that this carnival left in between. It's a shit science, and you know it, but they built it like 11 o'clock tune. They project, they perform on the stand while a family waits for a June. It's a shit science, glitter on a gravestone. They make certainty from shadows alone. They rhyme might with must, turn maybe to must on a shit science chorus of trust. Here's a hair in a plastic packet, microscopic match. They shout on cue. They compare, they declare from a single little strand, like a crystal ball come true. Then a tape in a humming courtroom. Listen close, do you hear that line? Voice print and Alice on a squiggle in a graph. They pretend it's a fingerprint science. And you know it still. They stage it with a spotlight glow. Every chart, every slide, just a confidence ride. But the stakes are too high for this show. It's a shit science curtain call 'em bad odds. Time to tear down this cardboard facade. Cause a man can lose his life to a catchy little lie from a shit science song.
Yep. So let's get right into day 5. Now, there was other things in this, but I wanted to focus on the testimony. And I'm also going to play this in 1.25. And I'm going to skip the breaks and everything. So we should be done in about 2 hours, I think. So, here we go. Science time.
Honor. Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may call your next witness.
Marissa Lacan.
Could you get Marissa Lacan, please?
Now, this witness, there was a voir dire on, and I mean, she's
if you could raise your right
qualified.
hand, please. You swear or affirm your testimony in the matter pending before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay. Can you please state your name and spell it for the court reporter?
Marissa Lacan, and it's spelled M-A-R-I-S-S-A. The last name is L-I-C-O-N.
Ma'am, how are you employed?
I'm employed at Pure Gold Forensics.
How long have you been employed at Pure Gold Forensics?
Since May of 2022, so approximately 3.5 years.
And tell us a little bit about Pure Gold Forensics. What is it?
We're a private accredited forensic DNA testing lab.
Yeah. We will get to that, but as it seems, they have a high percentage of people who used to work at the Georgia Bureau of Investigations lab back in the day, who now suddenly is at this particular private lab. I'm saying that because there's a lot of private labs in Georgia. Why did they choose the one that was so connected to this case to start with? I'm just asking a question.
Located in Southern California.
What kind of testing does Pure Gold do? Generally speaking.
So we do serology as well as DNA testing for prosecution, defense, as well as private parties.
What is your position at Pure Gold Forensics?
I'm a forensic scientist.
Can you please explain what your job entails?
So it involves serology testing as well as DNA testing using Global Filer as well as Y-Filer amplification kits. I analyze mixtures using StarMix probabilistic genotyping software, interpret the data, and producing a scientific report based on the data.
Now, this particular DNA testing, this software, it's well established DNA testing. But we still have to produce. You still have to have the right thing in the correctly labeled. Let's see if, because remember last week when we found out that the prosecution presented empty evidence bags as evidence. Now, in my opinion, those evidence bags that was where the original hair samples was in should have been all the way to this lab. As it turns out, they didn't. Something happened between roughly 2001 and 2005, and then between 2005 and 2023 that made these samples switch label. And yeah, let's keep listening. We are going going with the prosecution first, and then we are going to hear the defense.
Can you talk a little bit about your educational background?
I have a bachelor's of science degree in forensic chemistry.
Yeah, we know.
And tested the items inside.
And does your initials appear on that item?
Yes.
In what condition was States 141 when you received it at Pure Gold Forensics? Was it sealed? Let me ask.
Yes, it was sealed.
I'd move to tender States 141, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
Ms. Lacan, inside States 141, are there a number of items in there?
Yes.
Okay. Can you take those out? Okay. States 142, what is that?
This is Georgia Bureau of Investigation, their evidence transfer receipt.
And was that, again, located inside States 141 when you received it at Pure Gold?
Yes.
And in fact, as going back to States 141, was that item completely sealed until just a few minutes ago right outside the court?
Yes.
And did you witness it being opened prior to coming in and testifying?
This means nothing. It only means that in the last part, somebody at her lab sealed it, and then they open it up at the courtroom. They're outside of the courtroom. That's all it means. It doesn't prove that nothing happened between 2001 and 2005, or between 2005 and 2023.
Yes.
Okay. States 142, what is that?
That's the transfer receipt.
Oh, I'm sorry, 143. Pardon me.
This is an envelope labeled cuttings of item 2I, oral swabbings B.
Okay. And 144, what is that?
A sealed envelope labeled cuttings of item 2J, oral swabbings A.
And just again to clarify, when you received States 141, were 142, 143, and 144 all contained inside of it?
Yes.
Do you recognize, especially as it relates to 143 and 144, those items as having your initials on them?
Yes.
At this time, I'd move to tender States 142, 43, and 44.
Any objection, Mr. Cruz?
No, Your Honor.
They are admitted.
Can I pursue this again?
You may.
Ms. Lacan, based on the request, as you might have understood it from the GBI Crime Lab, what, if any, tests did you believe may be relevant in making any determination as to the potential biological source of the items of evidence that were contained in states 143 and 144?
We were requested to perform saliva testing as well as vaginal epithelial cell testing. So I determined that our RSID saliva test, as well as our Lugol's iodine tests presumptive for vaginal epithelial cells, were appropriate.
Let's start with the RSID saliva test that you just described. Briefly, ma'am, what is amylase?
It's an enzyme found in saliva.
Okay. And where is amylase primarily found in the human body?
Yeah. The Lugol's iodine test is it's a solution of potassium and iodine to detect starch. It's used to identify carbohydrates, glycogen, and in medical screenings for glycogen-poor tissues. In layman terms, it makes it possible for a lab person to interpret weak and small trace amounts of, for instance, is this from a mouth or from a vag? Now, has this been used in court before? I can't say. I can't say, but I saw here, as Georgina Glass said, this girl is a cutting-edge leader in testing industry, introducing never to used in court iodine testing. Here's the thing with cutting edge. It has to start somewhere. It has to be a first case somewhere. I'm sad it is this case. Very sad it is this case. But it seems like the scientific community regarding DNA testing is behind it.
In the mouth, saliva.
How does the RSID saliva test test for the presence of amylase in a biological sample?
So it's a lateral flow test strip. So essentially you have your sample that's been extracted and you combine it with a buffer that comes with the test kit. And then you deposit that onto a cassette that has a membrane that contains antibodies that are specific for the antigen, which in this case is the alpha amylase from saliva. And when you deposit your sample, if the alpha amylase is present, the antibodies will capture it. And it'll continue down the membrane. And a positive test will result in 2 visible lines, and a negative test will result in a singular line.
Does it kind of resemble like a COVID test?
Yes, or like an at-home pregnancy test.
What does RSID stand for?
Rapid stain identification.
Oh, you mentioned that. I just want to be clear. Has the RSID saliva test been validated as an appropriate test for detecting the presence of saliva at Pure Gold Forensics?
Yes, we complete our own internal validation.
And has Pure Gold Forensics tested for the sensitivity of the RSID saliva test?
Yes, so during our validation, we tested different dilutions of saliva, and we came to the conclusion that the RSID saliva test kit can detect as little as 10 nanoliters of saliva, and so there's 1 million nanoliters in 1 milliliter.
So they're a significantly small amount of sample? Okay. Can the RSID saliva test yield false positive results?
There are other biological fluids that can yield false positives, such as human breast milk, fecal matter, and high concentrations of sweat.
And when we say false positive, just to be clear, what exactly does that mean?
Another substance that can give a positive test, but it's not the specific substance you're testing for.
And based on the possibility of a false positive result, is the RSID saliva test only considered a presumptive test rather than a confirmatory test for the presence of saliva?
Yes.
And can you just kind of explain for the jury?
Presumptive means there are indications interpreted by the lab person. It's not a confirmatory test, as in it's definitely saliva, because it could be things resembling saliva.
What we mean by presumptive test versus confirmatory test?
So a presumptive test gives the likely presence of a substance, but due to false positives, it's not a definitive yes or no, whereas a confirmatory test is highly specific and can give a definitive yes or no, this substance is present.
Ma'am, to your knowledge, is there a confirmatory test regarding whether or not a sample of biological evidence is positive for the presence of saliva?
No.
And is the RSID saliva test generally accepted in the scientific community as a presumptive test for the presence of saliva?
Yes.
I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about Lugol iodine. What is the Lugol iodine test designed to look for?
It's designed to look for glycogen.
Okay. Before we get into glycogen, let's talk a little bit about epithelial cells. What is an epithelial cell?
It's a skin cell.
Okay. And can epithelial cells come from all over the human body?
Yes.
Can you please describe, generally speaking, the science behind the Lugol iodine test?
Yeah, so the premise behind the test is that the glycogen content of vaginal epithelial cells is extremely high between a woman's first menstruation and menopause. So when these cells are stained with the Lugol's iodine, they'll exhibit a dark chocolate brown color. There are other areas of the body that do contain glycogenated cells, such as oral secretions, as well as the urethral opening of the penis. However, the glycogen content of these areas is less abundant. So based on our validation, as well as studies, we use a 10% threshold that if more than 10% of the cells stain the dark chocolate brown color, it's considered a positive indication for vaginal epithelial cells.
So this test, they themselves have decided 10%. Now, they don't say, okay, how much does it differ between women? Having a threshold only means a majority of the cases, or even classified majority is above that. It doesn't mean all of them are that. How do they know the victim is has a baseline above 10%? What is a good, as Kat says, what is a good sample size? So we are here again with something that sounds exceptional. But once you ask questions, really? Is that where we're going with science? 10% of the... That's not... Is that where we are now with science? To bland it out with opinions? How did you come to the conclusion that 10% is the threshold? Is it difference between black, white, Asian, which part of Asia? How is the difference between the different groups? How is it difference even between the United States and Europe? Is it different between Northern European white and Southern European white? We don't know, because this is all we get.
And ma'am, I think you might have hinted at this just now, but can you explain a little bit about why the Lugol iodine test might yield different results on a sample collected from a vaginal swab versus a sample collected from an oral swab?
Yeah, so amylase that was mentioned earlier that's present in saliva breaks down glycogen. So that's why there's a less abundant amount of glycogen in oral secretions.
And again, I think you might have answered this a minute ago as well, but is there a generally accepted percentage of chocolate stained cells that one might observe which would indicate that a sample was collected from a vaginal swab?
Yes, we use a 10%.
And is that percentage higher or lower than others may have accounted for?
Yeah, so there's a study that examined buccal cells versus vaginal epithelial cells, and they determined that with a water extraction and mechanical shaking of the sample, actually less than 1% of oral secretions will stain the chocolate brown color. So our 10% threshold is more conservative.
Is the Lugol iodine test validated by Pure Gold Forensics as a presumptive test for the presence of vaginal epithelial cells?
Yes.
And to
So you yourself validated. The company itself validated themselves. Seriously? Nobody else? Not a university from another state? Not a you yourself, a privately owned company, validated yourself. I retract my prior statement that it seems like this iodine testing is accepted by the majority of the science. It seems like it's this lab and this lab alone.
your knowledge, is there such thing as a confirmatory test for the presence of vaginal epithelial cells?
No.
Seriously? So you don't know. Here we go again. It's a shit science. If you didn't know, I haven't watched Friday, day 5. I've seen clips of it. I've seen other people discuss it. This is so bad.
Man, when you received what we've tendered into evidence as states 143 and 144, these are the samples of cuttings, is that right?
Yes.
Please describe the process by which you undertook the testing that you performed.
So I first reviewed the case file, and then I removed the evidence from our evidence storage, took it into the evidence examination room where I opened it, took photos, took notes of it, and then I took it for our extraction procedure. It's our analytical procedure 5, which is a general extraction procedure that allows the analyst to retain the substrate, take the liquid portion for serology testing, and then take the cell pellet portion for either DNA extraction or microscopic examination.
Okay. And once you did all that, did you perform both the RSID saliva test and the Lugol iodine test on each item?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And just to be clear, when we're talking about the Lugol iodine test, how are you looking for or observing those chocolate stained cells that you just described earlier?
The process of putting them on the slide.
Yes.
So it goes back to the extraction procedure. So I take the substrates, which in this case were the apparent cuttings of swabs, and I place them into a test tube along with sterile water. We allow it to incubate for approximately 30 to 60 minutes. And during that time period, we vortex it several times, which means to shake vigorously. We do that by putting it on a machine. When that time period has passed, we centrifuge, we take the substrate and we put it into a spin basket on top of the same tube, and then we centrifuge the tube extremely fast so it spins fast, which pulls the liquid from the substrate. At this same time, it causes the cells within the sample to pellet at the bottom of the tube. So when that's done, we remove the spin basket, place it into a separate tube, and then left in the tube we have the liquid portion as well as the cell pellet. We pull off the majority of the liquid portion and then place that into a separate tube. That's what we refer to as the supernatant, which can be used for the different serology tests, so body fluid identification. And then left in the original tube, we have the cell pellet along with a small amount of liquid. So
how is this being explained by an expert to a layman? Folks, I've been doing law for a very long time. I think I am quite good at interpreting things that are said. The people in the jury are bus stop people. I don't think this is, hey, I'm an expert, I sound like an expert, and I speak very confidently about my expertise. But I'm kind of lost here.
to get to the microscopic exam part, We vortex the cell pellet along with the liquid, and then we take a
You vortex the cell pellet along with the liquid. So you spin it in one of these machines. Vortex. It's fuck's sake.
small amount, so 2 to 10 microliters, and we place it onto a slide, heat fix it, and then we stain it with the Lugol's iodine.
Thank you. And again, I want to talk about the testing results specifically related to states 143, which is your item number 1, labeled as cuttings of item 2I, oral swabbings B. That's super confusing. As it relates to this particular piece of evidence, regarding the RSID saliva test, what was your result?
It was positive for RSID saliva.
I believe that exceeds the scope of the Honorable Court's ruling in regards to Dauber yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that testimony that we just received exceeded the scope of the testimony expected from the Dauber branch.
Mr. Bolden, any response?
I mean, the fact that it's positive, I think the witness has established that that's not a confirmatory test, it's just a presumptive test.
Yeah, but then then she has to say those words. She has to testify to those exact words. Positive in the presumptive test, not the confirmatory test, only in the presumptive test. And that is your obligation, Mr. Prosecutor. And to my recollection, when the defense fucked up, the judge got really, really mad. When the prosecution fucks up, oh, nothing.
If that's in the form of an objection, I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Yeah. The prosecution violated the orders via the voir dire. The defense objects, the judge overrules. Had it been the other way around, oh, she would have been mad.
Your Honor.
You may.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as states 145. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is states 145?
It's the RSID saliva cassette testing results from our item number 1.
Okay. And does that picture fairly and accurately depict the results of the test on the cassette?
Yes.
Under states 145, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
And does the Pure Gold actually retain the cassette itself?
No, as long as we take a photo of it, we throw it away after.
What? You don't save the actual cassette result? You throw it away after you take a photo of it? How the fuck is the defense supposed to know when you took the photo? If they don't have, oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, for fuck's sake, no. You took a photo of it. No. And then you destroyed the actual sample. Not even a video. Here is the time from when the test started to when we concluded the test had ended. No, just a photo of the supposed end result. For the love of fuck. You destroy... Yeah. How is this not destroying evidence? I don't know.
With regard to the Lugol iodine test on states 143, what were your results on that, ma'am?
It was negative for the presumptive presence of vaginal epithelial cells.
And did you take a photograph of the microscopic slide that led you to that conclusion?
Yes.
If I can approach again, Your Honor.
You may.
It's going to get really confusing because we're going out of order. This is states 134. You recognize that?
Yes.
What is states 134?
A field of view from the microscope slide from our item number 1.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the slide as you observed it when you conducted the Lugol iodine test on that piece of evidence?
Yes.
Move to tender states 134.
Any objection?
No, ma'am.
It is admitted.
Your Honor, if I could publish
All right.
145 and 134 to the jury at this time.
Are you going to do it on the machine?
Yes, ma'am.
It is on.
Thank you. All right, we're going to start with states 145. Ms. Lacan, again, what is this?
This is RSID saliva cassette testing results from our item number 1.
You indicated that that was positive, positive test.
Yes, it's positive
And how do we know that?
with the visible 2 lines.
States 134, again, is that the picture of the microscopic slide after performing the Lugol iodine test on states 143?
Yes.
Okay. What are we seeing here?
We're seeing yellow staining, so epithelial cells that are not glycogenated will exhibit a yellow or no staining.
And so again, with the Lugol iodine test, what was the result of that, if I didn't ask?
It was negative for the indication of vaginal epithelial cells.
All right, we're going to shift gears now to states 144. With regard to this piece of evidence, again, just to be clear, did you perform both the RSID saliva test and the Lugol iodine test on the cuttings from this item, ma'am?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And as it relates to the RSID saliva test, what was your result?
It was a negative RSID saliva test. No indications of saliva were detected.
I can approach, Your Honor.
You may.
This is stage 146. You recognize that?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate portrayal of the cassette in which you performed the RSID saliva test on stage 144?
Yes.
I move to tender stage 146 at this time.
Any objection?
Okay.
It is admitted.
And did you also perform the Lugol iodine test on stage 144?
Yes.
And what was the result of that test?
Greater than 10% of the cells stained the chocolate brown color, so the indication of vaginal epithelial cells were indicated.
And like before, did you take a picture of the slide with which you made that determination?
Yes, I did.
If I can approach one more time.
You may.
This is stage 135. You recognize that?
Yes.
Is that a true and accurate depiction of the slide that you created and observed after running the Lugol iodine test on states 144?
Yes.
This time?
Any objection? It is admitted.
And if I could publish these to the jury.
You may.
All right, this is 146. Again, is that just, oh, it's upside down. Right there. Is that the RSID saliva cassette that you used in examining states 144?
Yes.
And it just, again, to be clear, what was the indication on that test?
Negative.
Negative. How are we seeing that here?
There's only a singular line at the control line and not a line at the test line.
States 135.
Hold on. It's only a date here. 10/14/24. That's it. Where is the timestamp on the photo? So, what they do is that they take a photo of this, and then they throw this away. Are you fucking kidding me? How is this admissible? That a photo of the test, not the test itself. That, yes, of course. In testing, often the sample, I mean the hair sample and the secretion, that is destroyed. This, the actual test, that one, the plastic thingy with the line in it. Why is that destroyed? Is it because perhaps over time it degrades and it's no longer visible? Yeah, but say that. This is a, well, we put it in there, and after 10 minutes it looked like this, after 20 minutes it looked like this, after 30 minutes it looked like this, which made us, you need a series of photos. Here is start, boom, 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 here's the conclusion of the test. Not just, here's the conclusion. How the fuck would we know? An only presumptive test.
Line at the control line and not a line at the test line.
States 135. And again, just to be clear, is this the picture of the microscopic slide after running the Lugol iodine tests on states 144?
Yes.
And what are we seeing here?
We're seeing greater than 10% of the cells have exhibited a chocolate brown staining.
Folks, I see a whole fucking lot of different kind of shading. Now, which one is she talking about? Is she talking about this really dark spot? This light brown spot? What the fuck is she talking about here? These yellow spots? Because if... what the fuck is going on here? I mean, okay, maybe where you can see it turns into a darker spot. Yeah, but this doesn't turn into a darker spot. This doesn't turn into a darker spot. This doesn't turn into a darker spot. This doesn't turn into a darker spot at all. Slightly darker, but not this color. Which is the chocolate brown you're talking about? That is 10%. It's a it's a gradient of colors, as Kat says in the chat. Chocolate brown staining? Which type of chocolate? Do they talk about this over here that more or less is urine colored? This that is basically black? Or is it just a combination of all of it?
Step right up to the miracle station. We've got justice in a jar on sale.
This is shit science.
So that's why it was considered a positive indication.
Based on your training and experience, coupled with the results of the testing that you performed on states 143, which is GBI item 2I, that testing to include both the RSID saliva test and the Lugol iodine test, if I were to tell you that that sample came from an oral swab, would that be consistent with your findings?
Yes.
As it relates to states 144,
Yeah, and still, why, even with this, let's presume this is not shit science. Even with this, that sample was labeled to the lab as a mouth swab. What? Did the victim go down on a woman before she was killed?
your item number 2, GBI item 2J, again, based on your training and experience, coupled with the results of the testing that you performed on this piece of evidence to include both RSID saliva and Lugol iodine, if I were to tell you that this sample came from a vaginal swab, would that be consistent with your findings?
Yes.
And lastly, in connection with all the testing that you've described here this morning and the slides and cassettes that we've all gone over, did you have an opportunity to prepare a report that summarized those findings?
Yes.
If I can approach, Ron.
May.
All right, this has been marked States 133. Is that just a copy of the report that you generated in connection with this case?
Yes.
I'm going to enter States 133.
Any objection?
Hearsay.
Any response to the objection of hearsay?
There you go.
It is overruled and admitted with your objection.
Ma'am, those are all the questions that I have for you. The defense counsel may have some questions.
Mr. Cruz.
All right, that was the entirety of the. Well, I don't know if they might try to redirect. I have a lot of questions, and I hope the defense asks them.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Well, the jury's standing out, truck through until we get our next break. I don't want to leave them waiting.
All right, cross-examination, Mr. Cruz.
Ms. Lycone, good morning. My name is Attorney Amai Cruz. I have the privilege and honor of representing Mr. Edric Faust. We previously had opportunity to speak yesterday. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And would you tell the jury, is it true that you would agree that you're from California? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And the state of Georgia brought you here from California to testify about the testing that you conducted in this case. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And if you know, other laboratories in the United States conduct RSID saliva testing. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And even some laboratories in Georgia. Is that correct?
I don't know.
That's fair. Other labs also conduct the Lugol's iodine test. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now I want to ask you this. You've been doing this since 2022. Is that fair?
Yes.
But you have never been asked to come into court and testify to the Lugol's iodine test. Is that right?
Correct.
And I think we agree on this. So this is your first time being asked to testify on these presumptive tests.
Correct.
Yeah, because they are presumptive. They are not conclusive. And presumptive means could be, could not be.
How about the RSID test?
Is this my first time?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So no other state has said, hey, can you come testify about these presumptive tests to a jury?
Correct.
And neither are confirmatory tests. I think, excuse me, there aren't any confirmatory tests for these two tests. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, I want to ask you this. You were given some packages that involve swabs. Do you still have those up there with you?
I don't.
I'm going to give you a pair of gloves.
Okay.
Let the record reflect that I've given Ms. Lycone a pair of gloves. I've given her States Exhibit 141. I am also going to give her States Exhibit 142 and a pair of scissors. All right, Ms. Lycone, can you open the two packages that you have?
I I am going to object to the relevance of having this witness open that package, especially in light of what happened yesterday.
Mr. Cruz?
Sure. The state introduced those items as exhibits. I believe we expressed on the court before that it's the items that's inside that is relevant. We just want to see the items that's inside. So I guess there's some questions about that.
I'm going to take a step outside the presence of the jury, and we are going to have a restroom break. So if you'll go into the jury room, this will be a restroom break. Mr. Cruz, I'll certainly give you one as well.
Oh, for fuck's sake, not again. Oh, for fuck's sake, not again. Did the state just handed over empty evidence bags again? Oh, for the love of fuck.
Please don't discuss the case. If you'd like to do that first and come back, that'd be fine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead, sir.
Come on. Not again.
I'd like to hear
No, it's just a relevance objection, Your Honor. I mean, Ms. Lacan testified that she received those items sealed and then, open them to conduct the testing that she described. I apologize. I have a lifesaver in my mouth. I didn't know we were going back on the record so quickly. And I just can't see the relevance of actually having her open that. I don't see how that's going to be, make any material fact more or less likely for the jury's perspective. And then I also, again, in light of yesterday's incident with the slides, it seems like a bad idea. And so legally speaking, I would couch it in the form of a relevance objection.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Cruz.
Excellent. I think the state is precluded from arguing relevance because they introduced the items into evidence. As your Honorable Court is aware, I before have asked the state, before they introduced any of it, I believe I asked Mr. Yalamachili when he showed them to me to open the package. I believe I raised an objection with the Honorable Court. We don't know what's in the items. And I think it's even more relevant the fact that we had one incident where we opened envelopes and they were completely empty. So what's in the package is relevant in this case. I'm going to ask her, are those items she tested? And I'll go down that line of questioning once she's able to identify what's in the package. As of right now, the state is just presenting packages saying, hey, take it for what it is. That isn't authentication. We want to authenticate these items and then ask the witness questions about those items.
All right, thank you.
But I won't pass it to the jury solely.
Okay, well, let's talk about that moment. All right, hang on just a minute. Mr. Bill, is there anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Hang on just a minute.
Yeah. The way the prosecution violently objected, well, not violently, but objected. Yeah, I would assume there's nothing in these envelopes as well. Here's the thing with testing. You don't need all of it to do the test. A professional lab only take what they need to test. The rest is put back in the envelope. If they have destroyed the entire sample while testing in the great state of Georgia, because we went through this in the YSL trial, and I believe other states has this as well, you have to record every step of the testing if you presumably are going to destroy the entire piece of evidence while testing. That is because if you destroy, then it's gone. There is no way for retesting. Then you have to record every step of the test. And all they have is one picture and a report. That's not enough. That is not enough because it hinders the defense ability to control and to test themselves.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I'm going to overrule the objection. And
You have to be fucking kidding me. Yeah. seriously, this there are others in this trial, but this I believe is an unforced error. I believe, this is just my opinion, you have to ask a local attorney, but I believe this is an unforced error, possibly with an automatic appeal. Because it's not now it's not just once. Because I believe that the judge was surprised at the first empty envelopes, and now the judge, in the lap of the prosecution, hinders the defense to show the jury that the evidence displayed by the prosecution is empty. Now, the prosecution can explain it to the jury why it is empty. But now the jury is left with the assumption that these envelopes have evidence in them. I believe this is, from the judge, an unforced error.
Allow Mr. Cruz to ask this witness to open the package, but I'm not going to allow it to be sent to the jury. I think that incident yesterday is indicative of the danger of doing that.
Wait. She is allowing her. Oh, but she overruled the objection. Oh, the state's objection. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. Retract. Okay. retract. Yeah. So, thank you. She's allowing the opening.
There are methods if the jury wants to look at evidence that is sensitive, particularly during deliberations, and we take it up in the courtroom, we deal with it in that manner. I'm not necessarily making a finding that this is actually relevant, but you are on cross-examination. I'll allow you to do that. All right, anything else? All right. Well, I did tell them we had a restroom break. Can you knock on the door and see if they're ready? Thank you. All right, very good. Be at ease until then, until we're ready.
Skip ahead. Come on.
With the exception of attorneys who are here in the court, to tell everyone in the audience, since we have a number of people in here, and it's gotten busier since we started, and I don't know who was here yesterday, if anybody. So I'm just going to remind everybody in the audience that with the exception of the media who have been provided a Rule 22 permission, with the exception of attorneys who are here in the courtroom, who are also here in the courthouse, if you'll just tell them to hang on just a second. Thank you. With the exception of attorneys who are here in the courthouse, perhaps watching, but also doing business here in the courthouse, with the exception, of course, of law enforcement who is here, who needs to be in other areas and need to be on their cell phone. With those, and the attorneys at the table, the exception of those persons, no one's allowed to use their cell phone while they're here in the courtroom. So if you have one, obviously make sure it's on silent, please, and please put it away. And the other issue that I want to bring up for counsel with regard to the ruling that we just made is I think it is probably best, and I'm going to make this part of the order, that only this witness handle the actual contents of the actual exhibit.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You may bring the jury out.
I think so. The hydration.
All right, you all may be seated. Thank you. Mr. Cruz?
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Can you open the 2 envelopes that were provided to you?
Yes.
Can you hold it up,
Yeah, do you want me to do one at a time or?
please?
Okay, so this is cuttings of item 2I.
Oh, yeah.
And may I approach Your Honor just so I can get a better sight on it?
Oh, they are. Okay, so they're not.
And then this is cuttings of item 2J.
Now, you'd agree that the items that you received were cuttings of swabs. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Inside of the tubes that you have, do you recognize those?
Okay. So there were items. Okay. My bad. I assumed it was the same again, based on the reaction from the prosecution. We should have just kept watching. Sorry.
Swabs is what you tested?
Yes.
Do you know where those swabs came from?
No.
The only information that you had about the swabs were that they were oral swabs. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. At any time were you advised that the swabs were over? Well, let me ask this. What year did you test these swabs?
In 2024.
You remember what month in 2024?
I can see on the envelope, it was October of 2024. I tested them.
October 2024?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware that these swabs were collected close to 23 years, well, past 20, close to 24 years prior?
At the time, no.
The items that you tested, you don't know when, or excuse me, you don't know when they were collected. Is that right?
Correct.
You don't know where they were collected from. Is that right?
Correct.
You don't know who those swabs belong to?
No.
Okay, so you weren't given any of that information?
No.
You simply received a package labeled oral swabs.
Correct.
Okay. And question for you, you have the swabs up there with you. Would you agree that the, I may say this wrong, but the swabbing material, the cotton, in some places is pretty much white. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Did you know that those swabs that you tested had been considered oral swabs for close to 24 years?
I would object to the characterization in that question.
All right. Most specifically, what's your objection?
I would object to the use of the word considered oral swabs versus labeled oral swabs.
Oh, for the love of fuck, you stupid cunt. This is so... Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, this is so stupid. If they were labeled oral swabs, it is because they were considered oral swabs. You're objecting to the choice of words. Oh, for fuck.
I'll allow it, but you may follow up if you choose to do so with any redirect. Go ahead.
All right. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Were you aware that the items that you received had been considered or labeled oral swabs for 24 years?
I was not aware of the past characterization of them.
Okay. So is it fair to say that as you sit here today, you don't know if the swabs that you tested are the same swabs that were collected?
Correct. I'm only aware of what we received at our laboratory.
Yeah. As we early on, the prosecution made a big number about, yeah, you did all the right thing with the evidence. Yeah, she did. But as I said, it doesn't say anything about what happened between 2001 and 2005 and 2005 and 2024. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Of course, indulgence. You mentioned this is your first time talking about these tests. Are you aware of anyone else being asked to testify about the Lugol's iodine test in court?
Sustained.
Those are my questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Any redirect, Mr. Bolden?
Well, it is interesting that they chose this California lab out of every other lab in Georgia and other states. Why this one? Well, apparently there are former GBI personnel employed at that. What? Why would people travel across the country to an employment in a private when there are? This is so stupid.
Your Honor,
May this witness be excused.
please.
Any objection from the defense?
No, ma'am.
You are free to go. And you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Judge. I think that myself and Mr. Cruz need to review the exhibits that are going to be used with the next witness.
Okay. How much time do you need to do that?
I mean, a couple of minutes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead and just do.
How the fuck have you not done this? This is the same as in the YSL trial. The prosecution does not tell the defense what examples they are going to use until right before the witness take the stand. How is the defense supposed to prepare with this court step evidence thing? And then, on occasions, they have the gall to object when the defense shows the witness things that the defense got from the state with, I haven't seen that transcript. They got it from you, motherfucker. All right. Let's see what's going on now.
Y'all may be seated. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. This goes back to some pretrial rulings by the court based on the court's ruling in the defense's proffer that pursuant to the state's Saudi motion that Mr. Melton would be the only alternative suspect raised by the defense. The reports, beginning with State's Exhibit 136, makes reference to an individual as a suspect who is neither Mr. Faust or Mr. Melton, and so the state would seek to redact that pursuant to the court's order. It's not relevant, and under 403 would be confusing to the jury. As it relates to State's 137, same thing. There's an individual listed as a suspect who is not one of the noticed individuals from the court's ruling on Saudi motion. 403, again, it would be excluded. I don't know that the state is going to get into, 138, yes, again, same individual's name needs to be
Why is this a problem? If that person was cleared, it doesn't really matter what the defense says. You can just ask whoever, whatever, you did check that person up? Yes, we did. And you ruled them out? Yeah, how did you rule them out? This way. Then it only looks bad for the defense for even bringing them up. I assume it is because the defense is going to argue bad investigation. Because whoever that other person is, they did jack shit and just, we don't think so.
redacted in the suspect line. As it relates to 139 and 140, Judge, there are a number of individuals' names on here that kind of fall into that same category I was speaking of previously. They are not Mr. Melton or Mr. Faust, and thus their names need to be redacted pursuant to the court's ruling because it would be confusing the jury under 403. So that would be the state's position, and I understand after discussing that with Mr. Faust, the defense is not in agreement as to that.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cruz, anything, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
A big portion of this case is the police's investigation and the way that investigation was conducted. Our position would be that other suspects that were looked at should be considered by the jury as opposed to making this case solely about Mr. Melton and Mr. Faust. As I stated in my opening, Your Honor, the jury's job isn't to determine whether or not Mr. Melton committed this crime. The jury's determination is to determine whether or not the state has presented enough evidence that Mr. Faust is the person that committed this crime. I do believe that in regards to the 401 objection, it is relevant. law enforcement looked at other individuals. I believe in the reports, since I'm making an argument, they look at other individuals, but they don't have their, in this particular case, hair fibers, because it's hair, their hair, because these are hair tests. They have these individuals listed as the suspect, but they don't have any of their biological material. So it is relevant. I don't think it'll confuse the jury because, again, as I explained to the court, you have this person listed as a suspect, but in the report, you don't have this individual's biological materials. So I would ask the honorable court to allow or restrict the state from restricting that individual's name off of the testing form, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite normal and easily rebutted by the prosecution. We looked into them. They had nothing to do with it. They were suspects at one point. We checked into it. We concluded they were not suspects, and there was no need for retrieval of biological material, which in itself would make the defense look stupid for even bringing it up. It's easy to rebut if you have something to rebut with.
Anything further? Mr. Yalmanchili, it's your motion.
I think the law stands for a contrary proposition, which I argued to the court.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Cruz, your argument is in direct violation and contradiction to all of the orders that have been entered in this case. And I've said many times, and I will say it again today, that the defense had the responsibility, if it chose to enumerate other possible suspects, that not only did they have to, by law, provide the proper notice to the state that they were going to seek to introduce evidence as to other persons. But
No, Judge. They're not seeking to introduce evidence that any of these others could do it. They are seeking to introduce the police investigation. They're not naming. This could be easy, yeah, just retract the name. Suspect NN1. You didn't collect any material. No, because we checked that out. We didn't need to. Suspect NN2. Why didn't you collect? Well, we checked alibi. We didn't need to. Easy. But hindering the defense from questioning the investigation, that is hindering the defense from giving Mr. Faust a proper defense.
also a hearing needed to be scheduled pursuant to that notice. That notice is in the form of a motion. And we've talked about this many times. That has not been done by the defense, with the exception of Mr. Melton. And we had that hearing. And that evidence that both parties sought to admit with regard to Mr. Melton was agreed by the parties and accepted by the court that would be admissible. I mean, not all of it, but just in general. But any other mention of any other suspects or things of that nature were prohibited based on the rulings by this court.
Why? This is stupid. Why did you hinder even the mentioning of other suspects when it's so easily rebutted? This is so stupid.
Several hearing days that we have had. And so I say that again to say that because of those rulings and because of the legal procedure that was not enlisted by the defense to get the proper permission to be able to talk about other possible suspects, it is prohibited. It is also not relevant based on the prior rule.
Idiot! You idiot judge. He's not introducing potential suspects. He's trying to question the investigation. Oh. Sometimes I feel shame that I share the law degree with some people. This judge is one of them. This is no.
I agree with the state that under 403, confusion of the issues would be paramount in this moment. And so I'm going to order the
Paramount?
state to redact those particular exhibits. I think they're 136, 137, 138, 139, and 140. Am I right about that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to order the state to redact those exhibits, as we previously discussed, with regard.
The only good thing here is that she's actually ordering the redaction, which will make it onto the record and into appeals. Because the defense clearly says we are not introducing them as third-party culprits. We are introducing this as a part of our questioning regarding the police investigation. Yeah, smells like the Zachariah Anderson case, where one of the first cases I covered on this channel, where the judge also prohibited third-party culprit on absolutely shit reasons. Only not because it actually confused the jury, but it would have ruined the state's case. In the Zachariah Anderson case, the judge prohibited the defense from mentioning that the two people who came armed to Zachariah Anderson's place had money reasons, to kill Rosario Gutierrez. That trial was a scam. So is this one.
Regard to those rulings. I mean, I think that's, we've kind of gone over this.
May I respond, Your Honor? May I be heard? And I believe I may have explained it wrong. I am not saying that we want to say that this third person did anything. We're saying that it's relevant because it goes to law enforcement's investigation. Please forgive me for I probably didn't state that the first time. But they're saying, hey, this person was a suspect. However, the test is biological testing. The relevance for us is we're showing law enforcement said this person is a suspect, not because we're saying they committed the crime. We're saying look at the work they did. Person A is a suspect, but they don't have any of person A's biological material. And please forgive me if I misstated that the first time.
Well, I did actually understand this part of your argument.
Understood.
I did. And with regard to the comments you're making about the police work and how they conducted, I'm not making a finding about that issue. But my ruling stands because the defense has failed to provide the proper motion and notice that the law requires in order for the court to then make a determination as to even whether that evidence should be admitted. And so because of that, regardless of the reason that the defense or any party wants to introduce that evidence, it is prohibited.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
How much time do you need, Mr. Yalamanchili?
Just a couple of minutes,
All right.
and then I'll hand it to Mr. Cruz to make sure he has no objection as to form. I
All right.
understand he objects in general.
Okay.
And then one request I would make of the court is we can.
Let's skip ahead. They're up with the judge. Come on. Oh, here he is. Time for actual shit science. It is hair analysis guy.
Step right up to the miracle station. We've got justice in a jar on sale.
All right. Counsel for the state, are you ready for the jury to come in? Mr. Yalamanchili?
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Larry Peterson.
Could you get Larry Peterson? Thank you.
Yeah, there are way better third-party evidence here
Sir, if
than
you
in
would
the
raise your right
trial.
hand, do you swear or affirm testimony you'll give to the jury today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you would, please state and spell your name for the record.
Larry Keith Peterson, LARRY KEITH PETERSON.
And sir, are you currently employed in a full-time capacity?
I am not. I'm retired.
All right. And when's the last time that you worked in a full-time capacity?
I was retired from the GBI Crime Laboratory in 2008. So I was employed there from 1978 to 2008. In 2008, I was employed by the U.S. Army Criminal Investigations Laboratory until I retired from there in 2017.
Okay. And going back to before your employment, what type of educational background do you have?
Yes, I have a Bachelor of Science in Forensic Science from the University of Central Florida.
And what was your first job after college?
Was employment at the GBI Crime Laboratory.
Okay. And so between the GBI and the United States Army, how long did you work in forensic sciences?
It would be almost 40 years.
Wow, 40 years as a hair analyst. A shit science.
And as it relates to, we talked about your educational background prior to starting work at the GBI. What type?
Hey, I've been looking at crystal balls for 40 years. Admitted as into evidence. Hey, I've been looking at bite marks for 40 years. Admitted into evidence. Hey, I've been looking at hair for 40 years. Admitted in. It's shit science. However you call it.
Type of training did you receive when you went to the GBI?
Right. So scientists at the GBI trained me in various aspects of trace evidence analysis. During my employment, there was also attendance to seminars and classes.
By the way, bite mark analysis is nowadays it's thrown out of courts. Thrown out. Because it's really a shit science. This guy started in 1978. Bite mark analysis wasn't thrown out until the late 90s. So he probably worked with bite analysis for half of his career.
On the evaluation of trace evidence, including professional organizations and personal relationships with other scientists.
Do you have any professional affiliations from your time working in forensic sciences?
Yes, I was currently in emeritus status with the American Board of Criminalistics, also American status with the American Society of Trace Evidence Examiners. I'm a retired member of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences and retired past president of the Southern Association of Forensic Scientists.
And as it relates to the Southern Association of Forensic Scientists, did you ever serve as president of that organization?
Yes, I did.
All right. Have you ever had any publications regarding forensic sciences?
Yes, I've published several articles on trace analysis.
And have you ever been recognized for your work in forensic sciences with any types of awards?
Yes.
Your last title at the GBI or job responsibilities, what was that?
The title was a microanalyst, generally a person who's responsible for evaluating what's generally considered microscopic or very small amounts of material.
Okay. Did you have any leadership roles as it related to your time in the trace evidence section?
For approximately the last 9 years, I was employed with the GBI. I was the...
That's 18 years ago. Folks, it doesn't matter what your expertise was 18 years ago. Unless you have continuous education in the field, worked in the field. If you have been fucking retired. Now, he said he worked additionally 9 years after 2008. So 2017. That's still 9 years missing. Folks, in my field, labor and employment law, if your experience is more than 5 years old, since last time, you don't have experience. Well, you had experience, but 5 years later, no. I will give an example. If you worked as a forklift driver 5 years ago, but haven't worked as a forklift driver for 5 years, you might still have the certification, but you're considered to not have experience as a forklift driver because you haven't worked for 5 years. And the field of science, criminal science, has evolved enormously the last 5 years alone. So if his last employment was 9 years ago, I don't regard him as an expert at all because his experience is too old.
I was the trace evidence, not supervisor, but I was supervising the competency as technical.
Oh, okay. Why is hair analysis junk science? Let me explain. The hair on top of my head is thin and brittle. The hair on the back of my head, thick. Means, depending on where you collect hair on the head, it will show different characteristics. And same with supposed pubic hair. You have, at certain areas, it's thicker. At other areas, it's thinner. Same with beard. Certain areas, thicker. Other areas, thinner. Unless you know exactly where a hair came from, you have to collect the hair from that area in order to have a correct comparison of hair. Unless you perform a DNA test. But in this case, I don't think they did DNA test on the hair successfully. So unless you have DNA hair, all they have is a microscopic ocular comparison. And again, unless you know from what area the sample hair comes from, you can't compare it to hair collected from other parts of the head, genitalia, or otherwise. That is why hair analysis is a shit science. I hope that was a good enough explanation.
Leader of the section.
And you said supervising the competency as technical leader of this section. Can you elaborate a little bit on what that means?
Generally, it's the person who is responsible for reviewing and generating revised protocols and procedures, and also oversees proficiency testing.
Okay. And have you ever testified as an expert in any fields?
Yes, I've testified on over 400 trials in various aspects of trace evidence.
Okay. And as it relates to various aspects of trace evidence, have you testified as an expert in the field of human hair analysis?
Yes.
Okay. And have you testified in the states, in the courts of the state of Georgia?
Yes, state courts as well as federal and military as well.
And Your Honor, at this time, I would move to tender Mr. Peterson as an expert in human hair analysis.
All right, any objection from the defense?
No, ma'am.
This witness is qualified or tendered as an expert in human hair analysis. You may proceed.
Thank you.
Sadly, the defense have no choice because it's acknowledged as a proper science by American courts. For me, it's not even close. It is a shit science.
Step right up to the miracle station. We've got justice in a jar on sale.
Judge. Mr. Peterson, next, I would like to talk to you a little bit about human hair analysis, and I would like to start with the science behind human hair analysis. Do human hairs contain any unique or variable characteristics?
Right. So the science of comparing hair is that a recognition that hair contains several basic parts. So there's a cuticle outer structure of a hair. There is a basic protein, the main portion of the.
Sir, if we took the remaining of the tuft on your head and compared it with the characteristics of the hair from your neck, would it show different characteristics?
Hair called the cortex. Some hairs contain what's called the medullary structure or medulla, which is kind of an air-filled tubular structure that can appear down in the center of some people's hair. So based on, and the cortex of the hair contains the pigment granules, which gives the hair its color. So there's an evaluation microscopically of all of these features, both from a gross microscopic or a low power magnification view, as well as a detailed comparative, detailed microscopic comparison with a question and a known hair, an attempt to determine if there's an association.
Known hair. So what they do here, and this is also why this is a shit science. They have the sample hair and the known hair. Hey, this is a hair from this guy. Not here you have 10 samples. Does any of these hairs compare to this one? Do they have the same characteristics? Do they have... No. Known hair. Known samples. That's not science. That's confirmation bias. In order to do valid comparisons, you need blind testing. He just said they don't do blind testing. It's a shit science.
Between those two samples.
And so as it relates to the variable characteristics that hairs can have, are there certain characteristics that have a lower rate of occurrence and will be more unique as opposed to other characteristics that have a higher rate of occurrence and less unique?
Right. So, some hairs possess fewer characteristics than others just based on the amount of features that are available in the hair. For example, a very fine diameter blonde hair would have fewer characteristics to observe than a larger, more heavily pigmented hair.
Okay. And as it relates to hairs, an individual strand of hair, is that uniform from one side of the hair to the other side of the hair?
No. In the examination process, it's understood that the root end, or what we call the proximal end of the hair, would have different characteristics as you progress along the length of the hair towards the distal or upper end. It's just an progression over time.
So how do you know if you have a sample hair and then you have the hair from the body? How do you know from which part of the hair you got? You don't. It's a shit science.
How hair changes as it grows.
And now I want to shift with you to the process.
Mr. Hair Expert, can an illness change the characteristics of hair? Yes, it can. Can medication alter the characteristics of hair? Yes, it can. Can heavily shampooed hair, bleached hair, treatment of hair, does that change the characteristics of hair? Does highlights make that part of the hair slightly different from the non-highlighted hair? Of course it does. But you have hair from the victim and a sample, known sample from somebody. Does fire and heat change the characteristics of hair? Of course it does. But in his world, it's all the same. I have a hair and a known sample. All I have to do is make an ocular opinion regarding is it consistent with or not consistent with, which is also shit science.
Of conducting a hair analysis. Is there a scientifically accepted process for conducting that analysis?
Right. So as I described, so in the process of procedure, you would start with the mounting or the collection of the hair, whether it was submitted as a collected hair or it could have been submitted as an item of clothing or something else. And then hairs would be recovered in the laboratory. However that process happened, the hairs would be mounted on a glass microscope slide in a mounting media to allow for its closer examination, which would begin with the stereo or low power magnification, around 10 to 40 magnification. In that classification process, we can look at the overall length and color, the shape of the hair, give some idea of maybe some racial origin information, certainly body area origin as well, and can be the first step in the association or the elimination of a question hair from a known hair sample. So a question hair would be one.
Known hair sample, not blind test.
Of unknown origin. It's a hair recovered from a crime scene or something of unknown origin. And we would have known hairs, a collection of hairs that represent the known hair of a particular individual. That range of knowns would be fairly tight to one another, but even hairs collected from a single individual is not going to be identical to one another, but they're going to be very, very close in characteristics compared to.
What's very, very close? And compared to what? Here's an idea. Does family members have similar characteristics in hair? Mother-daughter, father-son, or vice versa? Of course, because it's shared DNA.
Known samples from other individuals. And so in the comparison process, it is when if it's not eliminated at the stereo microscope, it's transferred to a comparison microscope, which is where light is transmitted through the hair samples on two microscopes. The two microscopes are hooked together with an optic bridge so that you can view the internal characteristics side by side. And at the end of that process, if following the examination of the hair from the entire length of the hair, if that question hair falls within the range of the known sample, we can conclude that that hair is associated with or could have originated from that person. If it fails in that examination at any stage, it would be eliminated as potentially originating from that person.
As it relates to this particular case and the murder of Miss Tara Baker, were you asked to conduct certain hair analyses as part of your work at the GBI in this case?
Yes, in 2001, I was employed by the GBI laboratory and performed examinations on the Tara Baker case.
And this is something about Georgia that I absolutely hate. He is the one who did the testing, so he's a fact witness. He's also the one who is validating his own procedure as an expert. He is bolstering himself as both a fact witness and an expert witness. And I hate it. No. At least bring in him as a fact witness from 2001. And at least then have a hair expert separately. But validating himself? Fuck no.
Okay. And so what I'm going to do at this time, Your Honor, I'll show Mr. Cruz what I'm going to hand to the witness, but I'm going to hand the witness some exhibits that have already been admitted into evidence.
Oh, any empty envelopes again? Oh yeah, wait a minute. These hairs are not destroyed during testing. Why weren't they back in the envelopes? Where are they? Are these the empty envelopes again? Oh, for the love of fuck.
All right, Mr. Peterson, I'm going to hand you this little box lid that's full of some slides as well as some envelopes. Starting with the envelopes, do you mind going through those and taking a look at them?
Yes, sir.
All right, and so do you recognize those envelopes?
Yeah, these are samples submitted to the laboratory for analysis. They all contained a unique case number for the laboratory, 2001-1002454. And that was the case number associated to the Tara Baker case.
And what are the exhibit numbers on those envelopes?
We have defense exhibit, I believe that's 17, 16, and 11.
Okay. And let me ask you this. We talked about the process that the GBI lab goes through when hair analysis is being conducted. Is it the typical process of the GBI crime lab after a hair that's being analyzed has been mounted to remove it from its mounting, put it back in the envelope, and send it back to the law enforcement agency? Or is it the typical practice for it to remain on the mounting that it was placed on for analysis purposes?
Right. No, it would be left on the slide that it was removed to, and that would become its permanent status at that point.
Okay. As to those envelopes that I've handed you, are they sealed or are they open?
They appear that they have been cut open from one end.
Okay. Do you see anything on those envelopes that would help you recognize whether or not you had ever interacted with those envelopes?
Well, yes, each envelope, in addition to the laboratory number, has my initials on the envelopes.
And what I'd like to do is retrieve those from you now. And Judge, I'd ask to publish them on the Elmo.
All right, ready?
And I'm going to start with Defense Exhibit 11. And I just want to point to one part of this. What is that my finger is next to there?
That's the initials that I use on evidence.
Okay.
Okay, so this idiot took this envelope, accepted it, took the hair out of the envelope, put it in something else. Now, proper evidence handling, these should be together in a separate bag, sealed. The container that he then used with the envelope in a separate evidence bag, sealed and signed. So those always go together. This jackass didn't, apparently.
And Defense Exhibit 16. We're going to flip it around the other way. Sorry. What's that I'm pointing to?
Also are my initials.
And lastly, Defense Exhibit 17. And right there, what am I pointing to there?
Yes, my initials.
The hairs you received I think you already indicated those would be mounted. When they are mounted on a slide and then maintained in that medium, I want you to review now the slides that are in front of you and let me know when you've had a chance to look through all of those.
Yes, I believe these are the slides that I had earlier recognized, that these are boxes containing the prepared slides with mounted hairs.
And I'm going to retrieve one other thing, and then I am going to have some questions for you about that.
Yeah. Why didn't he send it back? Good question.
I apologize. Should have retrieved these before I got you on the witness stand. going to show Mr. Cruz what's already been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibits 108, 109, 110, and 111. Good, thank you. And Mr. Peterson, I'm going to hand you those items now. And I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked you about the 3 envelopes. Do you recognize those bags, is what I'll refer to them as?
Yes, sir.
And how are you able to recognize them?
Well, each of these exhibits contains the laboratory unique case number, 2001-1002454, as well as my initials on each item.
Okay.
Yeah, but how do we know you put the correct hair in the correct envelope if you actually haven't sealed the older envelope with the new? Do we trust your word, hair guy? No.
And did those appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you received them from Athens Clarke County Police Department?
Yes, there may be some additional seals, but the container itself is the same.
Okay. All right. Now, going forward to the slides in that box in front of you, you had a chance to review those. Do you mind telling the jury what exhibit numbers you are looking at?
Well, I may not say these in order, but I will just go down through the list of the boxes. So I have States Exhibit 124, 122, 125, 114, 117, 118, 121, 123, 119, 120, 116, 115, as well as Defense Exhibit 31.
All right. Thank you, sir. And I think, did you previously testify that these include the slides that you conducted your analysis on?
Yes.
Okay. Did you generate any reports in association with the analyses that you conducted?
Yes. I produced several reports.
I'm going to hand you first what I've marked as States Exhibit 136 after I show it to defense counsel. And I'll actually go ahead and hand you States Exhibit 137 as well.
I wonder if the defense now is allowed to enter these reports as evidence.
States Exhibit 136 first. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes, so this is an official report issued by the laboratory that shows the results of my examinations.
And what date is that report from?
February 2nd of 2001.
And does it appear to be a true and accurate copy of your report associated with your analysis on that date?
Yes.
And Judge, I move to tender 136 at this time.
Any objection? It is admitted.
All right. So looking at 136, does it have certain numbers associated with items that you received?
That's correct. So when evidence is submitted to the laboratory, it's given an exhibit number in addition to a case number.
Okay. And so those numbers that we're about to refer to, those would be, by your terminology, an exhibit number. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was there an exhibit number 2?
Exhibit 2 is a sexual assault kit, identified as that from Tara Baker.
And as it relates, was there an exhibit number 8?
Yes, Exhibit 8 is identified as question hair recovered from the buttocks of the victim, Tara Baker.
And was there an exhibit number 9?
Number 9 was an item identified as question hair from the torso of the victim, Tara Baker.
And then where did exhibit number 10 come from?
10 is identified as question hair recovered from the left hand of Tara Baker.
It also, as part of this submission for your analysis, were you given known hair samples from any individuals?
Yes, that shows 5 known hair samples that were submitted on that same date.
And starting with exhibit 21, whose hair sample was that?
Known head hair of Chris Melton.
And exhibit number 22?
Known head hair of Christopher Hall.
And exhibit number 23?
Known hair of Jeff Hall.
And exhibit number 24?
Hair sample of Ashley Peavy.
And then exhibit number 25?
The hair sample of Valerie Lang.
Okay. And
I hate this known sample thing. It should be blind testing. Somebody at that lab should have had the job to anonymize the hair, label it correctly, put it in with 10 other similar, for instance, Caucasian blonde hair, Caucasian red hair, Caucasian whatever hair. Have blind samples.
As part of that sexual assault sexual assault evidence collection kit of Miss Baker, would there have been known head hairs as part of that kit?
Yes.
Okay. So now we got the known head hairs of Tara Baker, Chris Melton, Christopher Hall, Jeff Hall, Ashley Peavy, and Valerie Lang. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then as far as hairs for which you are being asked to do a comparison analysis to see if there are any associations, you have a package identified as containing hair collected from the buttocks of the victim. You have a package containing hair collected from the torso of the victim. And then you have a package containing the hair from the left hand of the victim. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I want to start with the comparison between the known samples in Exhibits 2 and 21 through 25 against the hair collected in Exhibit 8 from the buttocks of Miss Baker. Did you perform an analysis related to that?
I did.
Okay. And what, if any, opinion do you have based upon your findings as it relates to Exhibit 8?
Exhibit 8 revealed that there was one head hair microscopically consistent with the known hair of the victim, Tara Baker. There were two hairs inconsistent with the known hair of Ms. Tara Baker, and subsequent comparison showed that they were consistent with the known hair of Ashley Peavy.
And so let's talk about
What the fuck was Ashley Peavy's head hair, doing on the? I mean, yeah, sure, they shared living space. Here's an interesting fact. The fire person smelled shampoo on the victim. So, how, if she showered that morning, was attacked, how did that hair end up there? Of course, could be transfer from, because they shared some living space, but still.
consistent with the known hairs of an individual. What does that mean?
It means basically that they had a correspondence in their microscopic characteristics that in comparing the question hair to the known hair, they possessed sufficient similar characteristics to they could be included as a possible donor of the hair, that either would be from that person or another person possessing hair with the same characteristics.
Okay. And so as it relates then to Exhibit 8, and please correct me if I misstate anything about your findings, of the three hairs that were of a quality that could be analyzed, one was consistent with Miss Baker and two were consistent with Miss Peavy. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I want to go forward to Exhibit 9, which is collected from the torso of the victim. As it relates to your analysis on Exhibit 9, what opinion were you able to develop based on your analysis?
Exhibit 9 indicates that there were numerous head hairs consistent with the known hair of Tara Baker, the victim, one head hair inconsistent with the known head hair of the victim, and then further microscopic examination of that particular hair against the known hair of Valerie Lang showed them to be consistent.
So the hairs that were analyzed there were some that were consistent with Miss Baker, the victim, and then the one that was not consistent with Miss Baker was consistent with Miss Lang. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so as it relates to the hairs that were found to be consistent with Miss Hall and Miss Lang that were recovered from Miss Baker's body, those were also compared against Mr. Melton, weren't they?
Yes.
Okay. And were what was your finding regarding those hairs as it related to Mr. Melton?
Well, the hair was eliminated as potentially originating from him.
Okay, so as it relates to items 8 and 9, those hairs could not have come from Mr. Melton. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and now I want to get to Exhibit 10, which is the hair from the left hand of Miss Baker. Based on your analysis of that hair, what opinion did you form regarding that hair?
The hairs identified from the left hand of Tara Baker, there were several head hairs and one pubic hair, all of which had the similar characteristics.
Why are there several hair in item 10? Why is there several? Every other. Now, item 10, multiple hairs, should have been in separate envelopes, all labeled left hand. Instead, they put it all in the same fucking envelope with the possibility of cross-contamination. Motherfucker.
Characteristics as Miss Baker's own hair.
So they were consistent with Miss Baker's hair, is that correct?
Correct.
And so that head hair, or I'm sorry, not head hair, that hair that was recovered from Miss Baker's left hand, was it compared with Mr. Melton as well?
Well, the head hair would have. Yes.
Yes. And
They only compared the head hair and nothing else. Not the pubic hair or whatever other hair. Only the head hair. Why the fuck could you not compare pubic? This is so stupid.
so that head hair that was compared with Mr. Melton, what opinion did you form as to whether or not that head hair could have come from Mr. Melton?
He was eliminated.
Okay. And what does eliminated mean?
Did not have corresponding microscopic characteristics.
As it relates, sir, to Exhibit 137, states 137, do you mind telling me what that is?
Again, this is an official report which I produced under the same case number 2001-1002454, the case number for Tara Baker, issued on February 27th of 2001.
And is that appear to be a fair and accurate copy of the report that you generated based on your analysis on that date?
It is.
Judge, I move to tender states 137 at this time.
Any objection? It is admitted.
And as it relates to states Exhibit 137, Mr. Peterson, it makes reference to Exhibit 2 again. Is that correct?
It does, yes.
Okay. And Exhibit 2 is the sealed sexual assault evidence collection kit of Miss Baker. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And in there, it has listed in Exhibit 12. What is that?
Exhibit 12 is identified as there's a power transformer.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to process that item for any kind of trace evidence?
Yes, hairs were recovered from that item.
All right. And so this power transformer, the hair that you analyzed that was recovered from that, what, if any, opinion did you form?
There were several hairs that were unsuitable for comparison. They did not possess enough characteristics to produce a meaningful comparison. In addition, there was one head hair which was suitable for comparison.
How fucking convenient. Here's the thing. According to who? To you? You decided they were not suitable. Why? What was the process? Could those have been sent off to another shit science lab?
And additional examination comparison of that hair showed it to be consistent with the known hair of Chris Melton.
Okay. And so that's a separate thing than anything that was found on Miss Baker's body, though. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
All right. I want to go.
Oh, that's the hair in the purse. Or wallet, or whatever's. Wasn't it? Well, we found out during
Go back now
cross-examination.
to exhibit number 10 in the hair that was in Miss Baker's hand that was consistent with her and eliminated Chris Melton. Have you had other occasions where you have examined hair that's been found in the hands of a homicide victim?
Yes, I have examined a number of cases, a large number of cases where hairs were recovered from the victim's hands. And the vast majority of time, the hairs were always consistent with the victim's own hair.
Okay. So this finding wasn't an unusual finding then. Is that fair to say?
It was not.
Okay. If I could have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yeah. Karate Cat Mom. I'm sorry, except for someone having seen him walking around, the testimony from the witnesses is they saw black man. Or even black men. Because different witnesses saw on different times. 8 a.m., 8:15 a.m. Claims to have seen black man two saw black man in bright orange shirt. One saw black man in bright orange jacket. You know what that tells me? There's a construction site somewhere. And we know there's a Walmart on the other side. It's workers going to buy stuff. And they took a shortcut. That is what that tells me. And it also tells me in this predominantly white area, that stands out. Black man on our sidewalk. Oh, and yeah, and of course you have that one witness that the prosecution doesn't care about, who saw a white guy running from the area.
Mr. Peterson, thank you very much. I don't have any other questions for you, sir. I'm sure Mr. Cruz will have some.
Mr. Cruz, cross-examination.
Mr. Peterson, thank you so much for your time. The state asked you about the power transformer and the hair found on the power transformer. Do you remember that?
The notes reflect that it happened. This case happened a long time ago.
Correct. My question is, do you recall the state asking you about a power transformer and hair found on the power transformer?
Well, I mean, we just discussed it. Yeah,
Sure.
yes.
Okay, excellent. You don't know where that power transformer was located in relation to Ms. Baker's body, do you?
No, I do not.
I'd like to go over some of the hairs and the examinations you conducted. Is that okay?
Okay.
And I'd like to establish something first. So would you agree that Caucasian hair is different from African-American hair?
I would agree.
Okay. And would you agree that based on your profession and expertise, Caucasian hair is easily distinguishable from African-American hair? Is that fair?
The vast majority of times, yes.
You examined a hair from the buttocks of Miss Baker. Do you recall discussing that?
Yes,
That hair was not consistent with African-American hair. Is that correct?
that's correct.
You examined the hair from the torso of Miss Baker. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That hair was also not consistent with African-American hair. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You examined hair from Miss Baker's left hand as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you would agree that hair was also not consistent with African-American hair. Is that correct?
I agree.
So, you have, according to the state, this African-American man who definitely did it, according to the state, who did this violent beating, strangling with an electrical cord, rape, arson, robbery, breaking and entering, but there's only liquid DNA inside the victim, which could have been ejected there within a 3 to 5 day span before the murder. The prosecution is trying to tell us that there is he left no traces whatsoever. There's not even in the victim's wounds, there is a transfer of DNA. Did they even check? Did they even swab the victim for what DNA was present on her? Only in her? I haven't heard thus far in this trial, at least, about DNA samples from the injury areas, because she was brutally beaten, strangled. Did they check the electrical cord? Why are there no DNA samples presented in court or in the opening statements of the swabs that should have been taken from the wounds? Nothing.
We discussed the power transformer, but you examined hair from the power transformer. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and the hair on the power transformer was also not consistent with African American hair. Is that right?
That's correct.
And I believe you testified that the hair found on the power transformer was consistent with Chris Melton's head hair. Is that right?
That's correct.
You even examined the hair found on Ms. Baker's wallet. Do you recall that?
There was a hair identified from the victim's purse, I believe.
From her purse?
Identified as a purse.
Okay. And that was a pubic hair. Is that right?
No, I believe that was a head hair.
Your Honor, I would move to introduce Mr. Peterson's.
Should be, would you, looking at your report, refresh your recollection?
Of course, indulgence.
And, Your Honor, I would have an objection. I don't believe that the items that Mr. Cruz is asking this witness about have been tendered into evidence by either party. So I think that would be required prior to questioning the witness about the items.
Go ahead, sir. Yes.
Well, I disagree with that, Your Honor. I asked him a question about testing that he's conducted. The testing is within this witness's personal knowledge. He has gave a statement that is inconsistent with the report that he's written, and I'm introducing this report as a prior inconsistent statement.
Let me see counsel at the bench for a minute, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Now I'm going to listen forward, because earlier I was kind of wrong with. I made a bad assumption. Skipping ahead.
On the record in 40 minutes. And please don't discuss the case. We'll see you at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay, skipping ahead.
Yeah. Document to examine this witness under 24-6-613. The state asked, pursuant to that statute, certainly, to get a copy of what you were using. And then the state made an argument pursuant to 603. I'm sorry, to 403. And so because of the state's argument about 403, the balancing test, I wanted to go through this moment outside the presence of the jury before I make a ruling. And so, Mr. Cruz, I'm going to let you examine this witness with that moment. And the law requires that you allow the witness to, I'll just use this language of the statute. The witness is first afforded an opportunity to explain or deny the prior inconsistent statement, and the opposite party is afforded an opportunity to interrogate the witness on the prior inconsistent statement or the interest of justice otherwise required. So before I get to that portion of the statute, I want to hear what we're talking about, because the state has made a 403 objection. So you may proceed, Mr. Cruz.
Just don't proceed with
the question you were going to ask him. He answered a question, and you wanted to attempt to impeach him with a prior inconsistent statement. The state objected based on 403 grounds, and so that's why I'm conducting this hearing outside the presence of the jury.
Excellent. So just to let you know the process that was taking place when the objection was lodged, I was about to mark this as defense exhibit, I believe, 32.
You asked if I have a defense exhibit 32?
Oh, no, sir. I was asking.
Not yet.
I'm sorry.
Not yet.
Okay. So I was going to mark this
Okay.
as Offense Exhibit
All right.
32.
Okay.
And my next question to him after I marked this as Offense Exhibit 32 was going to be in your March 19, 2001.
Well, actually, before we even get to that, Mr. Cruz, you may not need to get to that moment. Let me ask you this question. Let me ask counsel. Now that you're going to mark it as an exhibit, kind of takes a different turn.
That's where the objection
Okay.
came.
Okay. So, well, it did because you weren't tendering it, and you don't necessarily have to when you're dealing with a prior inconsistent statement.
I actually was going to admit the prior inconsistent statement,
Okay.
but I typically mark it for purposes of the record.
Okay. Well, that's fine. All right, well, let me ask this question of the state first. Based on that he is going to offer it into evidence, do you have any objection? Do you have any objection to that? I mean, based on the conversation counsel had with the court at the bench, the reason I'm doing this outside the presence of the jury is because of the 403 argument. So is there any objection to the tendering of that document? Is there going to be?
I'm sorry, Judge.
Is there going to be any objection to the tendering of that document?
I think that there would be as it relates to examination regarding a hair found in a wallet. And the reason is, Judge, and I would, if the court allows me under 24-1-104, I think this would be a matter of a preliminary question. And I can state in my place that pursuant to documents that are in discovery and produced to Mr. Cruz, this item actually didn't come into, the item was not believed to contain any hair at the time of the initial processing of the crime scene. It was returned to the Baker family, who then, over 2 weeks later, on February 8th of 2001, brought the wallet back to Athens Clarke County Police Department and relinquished custody to the Athens Clarke County Police Department. And then subsequently, in a transcript of an interview between ACCPD and the Baker family in May, Miss Baker's father, Mr. Lindsay Baker, stepfather, but the person she considered to be her father, Mr. Lindsay Baker, indicated to police that we found a hair in that wallet. What have y'all done with it? And so I imagine.
So your retarded investigators missed hair. That in itself should make this entered into evidence as a shit investigation. If they missed that, what else did they miss? Well, we know what else they missed. Every fucking thing. Jesus.
Imagine what Mr. Cruz is going to question the witness about is whether or not that hair was tested. And so I guess our objection under 403, or our objection pursuant to 24-1-104 is there's been a lot of discussion about chain of custody as it relates. Now, in this particular case, circumstance, I think.
You got empty envelopes admitted, and now you're whining about chain of custody? When you yourself got things admitted despite lack of chain of custody, but now you're saying lack of chain of custody should make this inadmissible? Fuck twat.
I think there is a legitimate concern about chain of custody and the manner in which it came into the possession of law enforcement and the GBI, which is why additional testing was not done. If testing had been done, it still probably wouldn't be admissible in a legal proceeding due to the fact that it came from a wallet that had left the crime scene and been in the possession of other parties for fairly extended period of time. We're not talking about an hour or something like that. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Is the claim from the state that the family planted that hair from Mr. Milton?
Thank you. Mr. Cruz, do you want to respond to that? And then I'll let you ask the question. I may have some questions for you. Do you want to respond to that?
I just want to make sure I understand the objection was to 403, but also chain of custody. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, I'm not going to put words in Mr. Yelman-Chili's mouth. I can tell you what the court thinks it is, but go ahead.
Foundation for admissibility of the evidence that he is questioning the witness about. I think if we are going to talk about evidence, it needs to be present and tendered in the courtroom. Now, it could be that Mr. Cruz goes through the process of tendering that evidence in some manner. It just hasn't been done yet. So, I mean, I guess my objection is on a couple of different grounds.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I understand foundation is a ground, chain of custody is a ground, and 403 is a ground. If I could ask clarification from the Honorable Court or Mr. Yalama-Chili, as far as 403, what particular ground do I need to address?
You can ask the state.
Well, Your Honor, when we were at the bench, I think my original objection was actually to the predicate requirements of a prior inconsistent statement not having been met, because I think Mr. Peterson testified that he believed that it had come from a purse, and Mr. Cruz had indicated it had come from a wallet, and we stated at the bench, so it was our belief and our understanding of the evidence, it actually came from a wallet that was inside of a purse, so it wasn't necessarily something inconsistent with Mr. Peterson's testimony.
All right. So in regards to the foundation of the prior inconsistent statement, Mr. Peterson, I asked him, was it a pubic hair? He said it was a head hair. I asked him, was it on a wallet? He said it was in a purse. It's semantics, but my particular question asked about a wallet. His report references a wallet. It's not reference a purse. So the foundation has been laid for a prior inconsistent statement. He was confronted with the statement. Well, was about to mark the exhibit to confront him with the statement before the objection came about. But once I've given him an opportunity or once I've confronted him with that statement, if he says no, it's still a head hair, or no, it was in a purse, at that time I would tender this into evidence as impeachment material. In regards to the chain of custody, this isn't a chain of custody issue. Chain of custody applies to fungible evidence, not to documents. So chain of custody would not apply in this situation. In regards to the state's argument, as far as I need to tender the hair in order to impeach Dr. Peterson, in regards to the hair, there is no case, no law that exists that would support that proposition anywhere, probably in the United States. And lastly, in regards to 403, Your Honor, I still wasn't 100% clear on the exact ground of 403. So I would ask for just look, the specific grounds for 403.
Confusion of the issues and misleading the jury.
Okay. In regards to the confusion of the issues in this case are whether or not Mr. Faust committed this crime. This evidence is evidence either in support of Mr. Faust committing the crime or evidence that goes against Mr. Faust committing the crime. The anticipated testimony from Mr. Peterson's report is that the hair that was on the wallet was a pubic hair, and it was of Caucasian origin, or the way I asked the question, it was not a African American hair. I had no intentions to ask about testing the hair. I now do, but it's relevant. It won't confuse the issue because it goes directly in line with our theory that Mr. Faust was never in Ms. Baker's home. And this testimony supports that materially, Your Honor.
Mr. Cruz, let me ask you this question. Well, first, I'm going to let you ask him about a prior inconsistent statement and give him the chance to respond. And then I want to talk to counsel about something else.
Sure.
So you may go, because I don't agree that you've established that you have the right to present evidence about a prior inconsistent statement yet.
They disagreed on two things. Was it a head hair or a pubic hair on the wallet? Was it a wallet or a purse? They are fundamentally different. And if his report says pubic hair in wallet, but on the stand he says head hair in purse, how the fuck is that not inconsistent? That needs clarification.
So if you believe that's going to be the case, I'm going to let you try that.
Sure. May I mark the exhibit, Your Honor?
You can for this particular purpose, but we're having a hearing outside the presence of the jury.
Sure.
So just go ahead and ask him the questions you were going to.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Peterson. You obviously know where I'm going with this line of questioning, but you examined the hair found on Ms. Baker's wallet. Is that correct?
Yes, I had earlier said purse, just from my recollection, but by looking at the report, it does reflect hair from a wallet.
Okay. And would you agree that it's also pubic hair?
No.
Okay. Mr. Peterson, in your report dated March 19th, 2001, did you state, course indulgence, I'm mistaken. You are correct. You are correct.
Yeah, this is a mistake from the defense claiming pubic hair when it was a head hair. But yeah, it's still inconsistent. And he acknowledged, yeah, you're right.
Correct. Okay. So we are clear on the wallet portion, and I was incorrect as far as the pubic hair. Please forgive me.
All right, thank you. So let me just respond then to, well, before I respond, unless Mr. Yalamanchili, since it's your motion, do you have anything else you want to say about your argument about this information under 403?
No, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Cruz, do you want to respond to their argument about this evidence being violative of 403?
The proffer that I gave to the court, I would stand by that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So both parties have given a proffer about what this line of questioning is about. And I will say this, I agree with the state that this is violative of 403.
Yes, ma'am.
Because of the proffer that the state has made about the circumstances surrounding the testing of this purse wallet several weeks later, under the circumstances that they have described, is a moment, I would say, of profound confusion, possibilities for the jury. And so I'm
Profound? Profound? The family found hair in the wallet too, brought it back 2 weeks later. Did you test that? Yes. Was it African American? No. Done. How the fuck is that confusing? How the fuck is that confusing?
going to grant the state's motion with regard to the concern about 403, and I'm going to instruct you not to go into that area of questioning with regard to the testing of this purse, wallet, this line of questioning. I'm going to instruct you not to go down that line of questioning.
But don't touch on the wallet to make sure.
That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to bring the jury in because I want everybody to be mindful. It is 1:20, and we are supposed to be ending at 2:30 today. As best we can, there's a juror that's going out of town. This may be our last witness, so I just want everybody to remember, we're running behind. It's 1:20. So, all right, anything else? You ready for the jury to come back in this case? All right, state ready?
Yes, Judge.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson, you would agree that there was pubic hair found in Ms. Baker's left hand?
Correct.
And that pubic hair was tested against the known sample of Mr. Melton's head hair. Is that correct?
They would only be compared against pubic hair.
So it's compared against Mr. Melton's pubic hair?
Yes.
No. No, it wasn't.
I believe that's correct.
According to everything you counted out as samples, you didn't have a sample of Mr. Milton's pubic hair.
All right, in your report, did you write microscopical examination and comparison of the questioned hair removed from items? Let me ask you this before I answer that sentence. Item 10, we can agree, is the hair from Ms. Baker's left hand.
That's correct.
Okay. And in your report, you wrote microscopical examination and comparison of the questioned hair removed from item 10 with the known head hair of item 21, 22, and 23 reveals they have dissimilar microscopic characteristics and therefore could not have originated from the same source. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And item 21 is listed as the head hair of Chris Melton. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I believe on direct your testimony was that hairs that grow in different areas have different characteristics. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you show me the report where you tested item number 10 against Chris Melton's pubic hair?
Don't believe that's in the February 2nd report. I think that's in a subsequent report.
Sure. Can you show me?
I wish you would show me.
And was seeing all of your reports refresh your recollection?
Well, I have two reports. States Exhibits 136 and 137.
Well, Mr. Peterson, you just asked me you wish that I would show you. I'm willing to show you. Would reviewing your reports refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to show you your report, or let the record reflect that I'm showing you your report from March 19th, 2001, May 16th, 2001, October 11th, 2001, February 2nd, 2001, February 27th, 2001, and that's two separate reports, and March 19th, 2001. If you'll take a look at these documents to refresh your recollection and let us know once your recollection is refreshed. May I approach?
All right.
Confusion to make the and just so there isn't any confusion, to make the record clear, I am asking about the pubic hair found in her left hand being tested against Mr. Melton's pubic hair.
Well, if that hair from the hand, which was eliminated microscopically at the victim's own hair, if there had been another pubic hair sample submitted, then it would have been identified as also being consistent.
The answer to my question, my question is, was the pubic hair found in Ms. Baker's left hand tested against Chris Melton's pubic hair?
Well, the characteristics of his hair are dissimilar than those of Tara Baker's hair.
Please.
Are you asking me that there should have been a recorded statement saying that the hair was eliminated, as opposed to my testimony today that it is not similar to Tara Baker's pubic hair and therefore could not have been his?
The question I'm asking is whether the pubic hair found in Ms. Baker's left hand was tested against Mr. Melton's pubic hair. And if you can, yes or no?
It was not similar to the pubic hair from her left hand.
That doesn't answer my question is, and maybe I'm saying that wrong. Please forgive me. And if you can answer yes or no for me, please do so. You had Mr. Melton's pubic hair. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And pubic hair was found in Ms. Baker's left hand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was that pubic hair of Mr. Melton's ever tested to see if it was the pubic hair in Ms. Baker's left hand?
It was indirectly eliminated because a comparison of the knowns also took place to know what their characteristics are, and they were not found to be similar, so it could not have been consistent with the hair from the left hand.
Is that a no?
Sorry?
Is that a no? Is the answer to my question a no?
The comparison does not have to be a direct comparison. The characteristics of the two known samples are not the same, so they both can't be consistent with a hair that's only consistent with hers from the left hand.
And I thank you for that information. That is great information. But I'm asking you a specific question. To my question, is that a yes or a no? Was it tested?
Yes.
Can you show us the report?
No.
Okay. No more questions, Your Honor.
Yeah. The expert is saying, well, my ocular examination of the pubic hair said it was similar to her own. Yeah, but that's not exclusive, because you never tested it against anything fucking else, you retard. And the question was very simple. Did you test Mr. Milton's pubic hair against the pubic hair found in her left hand? The answer to that is no. I don't fucking care if it's an indirect result because you believe that your superior mind conclusively said, oh, it's the victims. No, you didn't conclusively say it. It had the same characteristics. Here's the thing with characteristics. It means fucking nothing. It's a buzzword. So he lied on the stand while saying, did you test the hair? Yes, he did. Is it in the report? No, it isn't, because he didn't test. And above all of this, none of it was African American.
Any redirect, Mr. Yalman-Chile?
No, Judge.
All right, may this witness...
Smart move from the prosecution. Smart move. Because you don't want this jackass witness who has his latest experience is 9 fucking years old to say something impeachable again. So that was smart from the prosecution.
Be excused.
Yes, we ask that he is.
Any objection from the defense?
No, ma'am.
You are free to go, sir. You may call your next witness.
Your Honor.
And this is smart from the defense. If the defense have their own witness regarding hair analysis, the prosecution, can't call the same witness. He's off. Off he fucks.
We approach.
You may. We have an hour. Yes, sir.
And I don't believe the state has anything else. Nope. Let's skip ahead.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, we have finished early today. So, particularly the person going out of town, yay. All right, so I'm going to release all of you today, obviously at 1:30, and ask you to return again on Monday at 9 o'clock. Obviously, in the meantime, my instructions continue to apply. Please don't discuss the case with anyone. Don't do any independent research. Don't look on social media with regard to this case, if it is on there, or the news, if it is on there. All the things that we've discussed. Does anybody have any questions for the court? Don't go to any locations that have been discussed, of course, by any testimony. Anybody have any questions for the court before I release all of you? I appreciate your patience this week. It has been a productive week in terms of a lot of things we've gotten through. I appreciate your patience. I know you go in and out of the jury room a lot. That's certainly common in a trial, but I know that it is sometimes.
No, it isn't. It might be common in your courtroom because you're a shit judge who can't for the life of you do stuff pre-trial, make determination pre-trial. Did you know that we are on day 5? Day 5 is concluded, and the defense have outstanding motions still that this judge haven't made rulings on from pre-trial. How is the defense supposed to prepare when the judge places handcuffs on them by refusing to make rulings on motions and allowing the prosecution to show up with doorstep evidence, allowing in empty envelopes? It's a shit trial with shit evidence and shit witnesses and shit experts.
It could be aggravating for you to get up.
Okay, let's see. Something else. Anything else? No? Or?
May I see counsel, though, at the bench off the record? Thank you.
And off the record. And we're off. Jesus. So the state produces evidence that has never been shown in any other court regarding, is it vag or mouth? Well, this shit picture shows shit 10% of chocolate brown. Where was? Let's see if I can find that piece of garbage again. Is that it? No. Let's see. Here it is. Dun, dun, dun. Let me show you again. Yeah, this. 10% is chocolate brown. Which one of these are chocolate brown? Is it the yellow? It is the almost black? What is it? What is it? This is what you call 10%? Do you have a grading scale? Or is it just as everything else in this fucking case and this shit science they present? It's opinion based. Folks, this trial is so stupid. 25 years later. Well, 24 years later, or 23 years later, they do DNA testing. And the only there are two things against this defendant. His DNA is inside her in the non-graped areas, which could be 3 to 5 days prior to the crime. The boyfriend's liquid DNA is inside the graped area. He has these injuries on his hands. These injuries, these photos taken 2 days later. He has scratches and injuries to his hands. Why wasn't these swabbed for DNA? Why? Why isn't this? And why do they believe his parents and his friends? They didn't even care enough to bring in employment records. In my opinion, the majority of the actual physical evidence points to the boyfriend. Now, if this was a trial against the boyfriend, I would have used the other DNA as a reasonable doubt. So they only have the DNA, liquid DNA, and the fact that, predominantly white neighborhood, and a few people saw black guys walking. This is stupid. This is so stupid. All right, folks, that was day 5, compressed into a less than 3-hour stream. Next week will be the same for me as this week. I have tons of work and some personal things I have to attend to. I don't have a choice in the matter, which means I can do highlight videos and perhaps a Saturday stream regarding this. That is what I can give you. Hopefully you will go watch it all. Everything regarding this case is in a separate playlist. I urge you all to go watch it. Big Nick needs the views and the likes and the subscribes and everything. But folks, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you for being here day in and day out. And from me and Mr. Jingles, you all have a good one. And remember, hug your family. Unless your family's shit, then screw them and give your love to the people who deserve it. See you in the next stream or video. Bye-bye.
Step right up to the miracle station. We've got justice in a jar on sale. Wave a lab coat, sprinkle Latin, sign your name, then set that scale. Look, a scratch on a screwdriver. Look, a pattern on a shell. Call it tool mark analysis, baby. That's how they send you to a cell. It's a shit science and you know it, but they sell it with a wink and a grin. Draw a line, call it math. Write a number on a latch, then they swear that the truth's locked in. Shit science. Show us in a lab coat, give the jury one more magic trick to quote. They clap, they sigh while a life goes by on a shit science song and dance they buy. Open wide, says the expert smiling. Let me measure every jagged tooth. Bite mark analysis on a bruise in a photo. They announce they've discovered the truth. Here's a cheat, here's a mold, here's a slideshow. Turn the guests into gospel on a screen. They don't mention all the bodies that this carnival left in between. It's a shit science, and you know it, but they built it like 11 o'clock tune. They project, they perform on the stand while a family waits for a June. It's a shit science, glitter on a gravestone. They make certainty from shadows alone. They rhyme might with must, turn maybe to must on a shit science chorus of trust. Here's a hair in a plastic packet, microscopic match. They shout on cue. They compare, they declare from a single little strand, like a crystal ball come true. Then and a tape in a humming courtroom. Listen close, do you hear that line? Voice print and Alice on a squiggle in a graph. They pretend it's a fingerprint sign. Every chart, every slide, just a confidence ride. But the stakes are too high for this show. It's a shit science curtain call on bad odds. Time to tear down this cardboard facade. Cause a man can lose his life to a catchy little lie from a shit science.